how does a carbohydrate supplement work to give an athlete an advantage? To fully understand the proper way and the reasoning behind carbohydrate supplementation, we really have to understand carbohydrate metabolism and how it is absorbed in the body. So I wanted to switch to this version so that you could see exactly how this works in an animation. So to the left of the screen is where your intestine is. To the right of the screen is where your bloodstream is. And basically the square in the middle is the intestinal cell. So basically what will happen is food will come into the intestine, be absorbed into the cell, and then transferred over into the bloodstream. So what happens is in our bodies, we will consume glucose, sodium, and fructose. So that will be in the food that we eat. And then the body recognizes these nutrients find the proper channel that they're supposed to go through. So in the green at the top, that is the sodium glucose symporter. That means that glucose and sodium need to go together to get through that channel. Whereas the GLUT5 transporter down below it is responsible for transporting fructose into the cell. So the body will absorb those molecules into the cell, and then those molecules will then get transferred over into the bloodstream. Now what's important is the fructose will go through the GLUT5 transporter into the bloodstream, but it will also go through the GLUT2 transporter into the bloodstream. Whereas the glucose can use that GLUT2 transporter as well. So the next step would be for the body to absorb the fructose, and then it would absorb the glucose. Now remember, those are your carbohydrates. Those are what are being taken to the muscle and stored as glycogen for energy. But think about how we can optimize this. If we know that there are separate channels for both glucose and fructose, when we create a carbohydrate supplement, we want to have both of those types of sugars available to utilize all of the channels that we can. Additionally, we want to have sodium available because we know that that glucose is needed to be associated with sodium so that it can go through that first channel. Once all of that gets absorbed into the bloodstream takes it away and it goes throughout the body to be stored in muscle and used as energy for the athlete. Okay, with that, now I've got an example of a goo or a gel that can be used by athletes, but I want to talk to you about why it makes perfect sense. So just so you know that this example nutritional label is a product that primarily contains honey, right? So look at how it matches up exactly with the physiology that we talked about. So we mentioned earlier in the nutrition lecture that the body absorbs about 1 gram of carbohydrate per minute. So we usually like the supplements to be around 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrates. You could take 2 if you wanted to, but usually around 30 grams of carbohydrates. Well, if you see on this nutrition label, the carbohydrate is listed at 24 grams. So that's perfectly within the range of something that we'd like. We also know that, as I mentioned before, you have the glucose and fructose channels. So in order to get everything in as fast as possible, you want to use a product that has both. Well, it just so happens that honey is made of glucose and fructose, so that takes full advantage of all the channels that we have available to us. And then also I mentioned that there is a sodium glucose transporter where sodium and glucose need to ride through this channel together. And as you can see, they have put sodium in this product as well. And so keeping that in mind, that we want something with glucose and fructose about 20 to 30 grams and a little bit of sodium, this product lines up perfectly. So that's what I want you to pay attention to when you're looking for goos and gels and supplements to add to your carbohydrate intake, especially if you're not as interested in doing a sports drink, this can be quite useful.